All this comes as closing arguments set to begin within the next hour. The jury expected to start deliberating later this afternoon. We want to bring in now Misty Marris. She's a criminal and defense attorney who's been following this case from the very beginning with us. Misty, welcome.
Thank you.
To think that, there's been no evidence, obviously, physically we don't have a body, but for Frazee to then go and create evidence, writing this on paper and passing it to an inmate, how viable is that? I mean, is he really that ignorant, or do you think this is a setup? What are your thoughts?
Wow, Cheyenne, I actually, when I read about this testimony, I was shocked. This trial has had so many twists and turns. But look, first of all, usually a jailhouse snitch is not very credible because, in general, when they take the stand, they get some sort of benefit, right? So there's always an argument that the defense can make. But here, it's in writing. These are letters that were passed. I mean, look, I think that the evidence is really mounting against Frazee. This new testimony, these letters, this is really working in the prosecution's favor. The fact that he's listing the names of people that he wants dead who are potential witnesses of the case, it actually could be the basis for another charge. I don't think the prosecution is going to go there at this point, but this is certainly very damaging evidence against Frazee.
Hard to believe it would even come to this so close to the end, right?
I know. It's like shocking.
Yeah, and even the defense, though, does note that that inmate wanted to sell those letters online. So like you said, credibility with an inmate, not so good. But it's in writing, so obviously, would they go through steps to, match up Frazee's writing and kind of prove that, or how would that work?
Yeah, certainly. So the defense can try and poke holes in that, and that's something that they can say that, look, they have this other inmate who wants to sell these letters online for financial gain. They certainly could question the veracity of the letters. Were these letters really written by Frazee? And look, all of that evidence that gets presented to the jury decides whether or not they believe those letters to be authentically from Frazee. But I have to say, more and more this trial unfolds, you're absolutely right. Without a body, murder cases are very difficult to prove. But this case, we saw the prosecution put together a puzzle almost, right? We saw all of these 70+ witnesses testify. And the story's really starting to come together with corroborating evidence to Crystal Lee Kenny, our star witness, her testimony.
And he's creating, more evidence against him. So
from the jailhouse.
Right. And he chose, like we know, he did not get on the stand. Was it a smart move?
Look, I think it would be a really difficult thing to put him on the stand, and that's a defense attorney in general. As a general rule, you really don't want to put your client on the stand because it opens up all of these other doors to questioning that are normally closed. So that can be strategically problematic. But it's up to the client. Many people don't know that. It's actually up to the client to ultimately make the call of whether or not they want to testify. In this case, it would probably be helpful for the jury to hear his side of the story, but I think that the reward is probably not worth the risk. And that's why we saw him sit tight. And look, that's his constitutional right. And the jury cannot hold that against him in deliberation. So that's not a surprise to me. I did not think he would ultimately take the stand.
Yeah. He's been so quiet all along. Misty Marris, thank you so much for your expertise on this.
Thank you very much.